there. I'm going to talk to you today about different types of clays, glazes, and their firing ranges and why that this is important to a successful ceramic piece. Now, first of all, there are three major types of clays. Well, rather, the ranges of clays that fall under the category of either low fire, mid-range, or high fire clays. Now, all of the temperatures are measured in what is called a cone. Now, a cone ranges from either 10, which is the highest, your high fire. Your high fire ranges from about 8 to 10. Now, that cone 10 is about 2,345 degrees. That's as hot as it gets. And it works its way down. Cone 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we skip 0, and we go down to 0, 1, 0, 2, clear on down to about 0, 2, 2. Now, the reason that we use the 0 in front of the clays, or the numbers, is to denote basically a minus. So you're thinking like you're going below 0. So you start out at 10, and it gets cooler as you go down to cone 022. Now, when you get down to cone 022, it's about 1,000 degrees, just a little over that, versus where you've got here your cone 10 at about 2,300 degrees. So you see that there's a vast range of difference there in temperature. So if you don't know the temperature that your clay will harden at, or vitrify, that's its fully mature stage where it becomes watertight and is absolutely as hard as it possibly can ever be, then you will be in trouble, because you could either, if you do it at too high a range, you'll end up with melted clay all over your kiln shelf, which is not a good thing. Or if you do it too low, you'll end up with the glaze not either working properly, like it'll chip off, or it won't be even hardly fired. So it's really important to know the differences in what your clay can do and what range you're at. Okay, so we said that the high fire ranges are from cone 8 to 10. Now, it can be as low as 2,212 degrees up to that 2,345 degree range. And then the mid-range clays, they go from about cone 5 to 6. Now, the temperature on that is about 2,118 degrees to 2,165 degrees. And this is the range that I like to use because I feel like it's the most versatile. There are a lot of clays that are available to me, and there are a lot of glazes that are available, so I have flexibility in what I want to do for my work and how I want it to look. So for me, it's a nice, durable, hard clay because it's still up there in the higher range, but it also has more flexibility of what is available to me to do. And then our low fire goes from about cone 06 to about cone 02. And that temperature is from about 1,798 degrees to about 1,972 degrees. So you can see the different range there. Now, to get an idea of the different hardnesses and the strengths of these clays, think in your mind, if you will, of a terracotta pot. Think of that, how it is not glazed, okay, so that gives you one less level of strength, because always a glaze will strengthen your pot. And then also, since it is a lower fire clay, it isn't quite as hard as if you had one of either the mid-range or the high fire clays. So it is easier to take something and chip it or crack it because it is softer in nature. Whereas if you had a stoneware piece that was done either at a mid-range or a high fire range, you would end up with a piece that would be able to withstand like your coffee spoon as you're stirring or hitting it in the dishwasher. So that's a lot more durable that way. Now, I wanted to show you the difference between what happens with glazes if you fire it at one temperature versus another. Some are more sensitive to than other glazes. It just depends on the individual glaze. So this is a plate that I've made, and it is in a glaze. It's called avocado ice. Now you can see it looks very dark here, and this was done at a cone 6, so you can see how it matures. This is probably about as far as this glaze would go without just totally not working. So if I put it any hotter, it would just not be functioning. Versus a piece that I did at cone 5 in the same avocado ice glaze. You can see how soft green this is and how smooth it is, and it's just very different. They're done in the same clay body, but putting the same glaze on, but just fired at a different range gives you a totally different look. The other thing that will affect how your piece looks is what kind of clay you use. Now, it's common to either use a white clay or a red clay, and there are other colors available as well. But you can see I have white clay and a red clay. These are what I call test tiles, as I test out glazes on different tiles just to see how they'll turn out and how they combine together, because it's always a good idea to do testers like that. So, as you can see, if you look on the red clay, the same blue glaze is a lot darker on the red one versus on the white one. So you can see that the clay will affect very greatly how your glazes will turn out as well. Well, I hope that these little tips were helpful for you, and I thank you for listening.